Hello there, welcome to my channel. I'm Angela from artorai.com, and I thought what we would do today is just look at a few ways that we can use embossing folders to get the most out of your stash. I thought I would make a two-part video. This is the first part. I'm not sure when the second part's going to be up because it's taken me a while to get this put together, but there are many different ways to use your embossing folders so you can get the most out of them. So here's the first technique. It's a very simple one, but it does involve using white pigment ink. I'm using Hero Arts because in my opinion and experience it's the best one out there, and you're also better off using a 3D embossing folder for this as well. It gives you the best effect. All you do when you've embossed your card is just take the white ink pad and just swipe it over the top of the card, just very lightly, until you get the effect that you want. I'm using this beautiful Lisa Horton embossing folder. It's one of my favourites. Beautiful 3D impression that you get. I think this gives an absolutely gorgeous effect. It's really nice. And here's an example of something that you could do with it. Not brilliant, but it's just an example of how it can be used on a card background. I just think it's lovely. I will list all of the different embossing folders that I've used in the description. Now, technique number 2 is basically the same. It's just if you want to use a white or a light cardstock, all you do is just swipe a dark ink over the top and you get a really lovely shabby chic, I would call it, impression. Very nice. You can use any kind of ink that you like for this technique. You can use your dye inks, your distress oxides, your pigment inks. Just whatever you have, just experiment. What I've done here is just cut off a little bit that I'm not going to use as a card, just to emboss and try some different colours and see what it looks like. So just see what you have, see what embossing folders you have and see which colours work the best with it. And here's a little example of what you could do if you wanted. I've just cut off a piece of the embossed card, matted it on a background layer, nice pale green, on a dark blue card base, and just added a sentiment and a few gems. Simples. This next technique, we're only going to partially emboss the card. I'm going to emboss the card at the top and the bottom and leave the centre free. And it is easy, but you do have to sort of try and get your measurements right. I'm just going to show you here how to do it. I'm just going to put the card on one side, emboss it, and then turn it around and emboss the other side, and the part that's left in the middle would be the part where I can add my sentiment and all my embellishments and things like that. You can do partial embossing on one side, on two sides. You can do it diagonally across the card. It's entirely up to you. I think it gives a really lovely effect and it can be used for any type of card really. Here's the one that I made earlier. All I did was put on a die cut flower, a sentiment and 2 strips of gold peel-offs that I've had for goodness knows how long, and I also added a few gems just to give it a few finishing touches. This next technique involves using your ink pads again, but this time instead of adding it to the card, we're going to be adding the ink to the inside of the embossing folder. I tend to use dye inks for this technique because it just makes it easier to clean, that's all. I'm going to show you first adding it to the embossed part of the folder and then the debossed part of the folder, because you do get 2 completely different effects. I will be showing you as well what happens when you add water to the folder, and I think I added a bit too much because the card just went really soggy and horrible, but never mind. It's just another technique that you can do. When you've finished your technique, you can spray a tiny bit of water on and put it through again, so it not only soaks up a bit of the ink, but you get a different effect on another piece of card. This is where I thought I would experiment and wet the folder and put the same piece of card through. It did not go well, as you'll see. Yes, I sprayed far too much water on the folder because I was intending to clean it. I wasn't intending to do this technique, but I thought I would have a go to see what it looked like. In the next part of the video where I do the debossed side, I do actually do the same thing again but with far less water, so I'd like to know what you think of that. It's just the same thing, just drag the ink pad just lightly over the embossing folder, making sure that it gets on all of the parts that are sticking up, and then put it through the same as you did the last one. You don't get, in my opinion, you don't get as good an effect this way, but I guess it would depend on your personal taste, of course, and the type of embossing folder that you're using as well could make a big difference. It does give a nice effect, but I suppose it depends as well on the colour of the ink that you use. Perhaps if I'd used a different colour ink, I would have liked that better. Here's another finished card example, just a sentiment and a leaf and just a few gems, that's all. The only difference with this card is that I put it through twice using two different colours just to see what it looked like, and I think it turned out okay. I also thought I would have one more go of putting it through by spritzing the inside of the embossing folder, just a little bit of water this time, but to be honest, by the time it comes out you can't really see much difference in the pattern, so I don't know, you could always try it. This final technique that I'm going to show you works best with a white background, so use white cardstock and a dark coloured ink. It doesn't have to be dark, but it has to have enough contrast to be able to show the white card underneath, because what you do is just put plenty of ink on the cardstock, and then we're going to put it through an embossing folder as normal, and then what we're going to do is take like an emery board or a filing block, just a normal one you would use for your nails, and just gently wipe over the top of the cardstock, and what that will do is take off the top layer of ink and just leave the white shining through where the protruding parts of the embossing folder are, and it gives an absolutely lovely effect. I really do like this one. Here's a very simple example of a card you could make, just using a sentiment and a die cut that I had left over from another project and a few little gems, that's all. It's just layered onto a black background, and like I said, not great, but it's just something that you can do. Just to show you that these backgrounds can be used to make cards of all descriptions and for any occasion. So there are 5 techniques that you can use to get the most out of your embossing folders. I don't know if this has been helpful, but if it has, please click that subscribe button. Please like, comment and share this video, I would really appreciate it. I thank you so much for watching, for giving me a portion of your day. Honestly, I am so thankful for any interaction on any of my videos. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye now.